Welcome to the God Culture, where we urge you to challenge tradition as 1 Thessalonians 5:21 tells us, "Prove all things, hold fast that which is good." We do not intend to be confrontational, but to compare what the Bible really says versus the traditions of men, which Jesus himself rebuked. Jesus said to the Pharisees, "Full well ye reject the commandment of God, that ye may keep your own tradition." We are adding a short extra video to our Solomon's Gold series today to further explore the topic of gopher wood, the wood used to build Noah's Ark. Having expanded our research some, we felt it necessary to take this even further and tie everything together. Again, in Genesis 6:14, God instructed Noah to build an ark of gopher wood. Yet no one knows what gopher wood is because the word gopher only appears in this one passage in the entire Bible, and it is not of Hebrew origin. We are missing something with this. In parts 4 and 10, we showed you two references we found that oddly render a definition for ophir wood rather than gopher wood. We have not found an old Bible that refers to this necessarily, but studylight.org cites Noah Webster's American Dictionary from 1928 as ophir wood, a species of wood used in the construction of Noah's Ark. Again, the O is capitalized, and OPHER is the exact same word as OPHIR in Hebrew. We also showed a second source. Author and minister Joseph Thomas recites Genesis 6:14 in his book, A Pilgrim's Muse, as ophir wood as well, also with a capital O denoting a place where the wood came from. This is where we dismiss the G, or Hebrew gimel or gam of ancient times, making the assertion that perhaps the G or gimel was not there. So, as we are on a crusade to prove everything for ourselves as well, in our reflection, we decided to research further the meaning of the G, gimel, or gam in ancient Hebrew. And do you know what we found? So the G in gopher, an unknown non-Hebrew, Aramaic, Greek, or biblical word as far as anyone seems to know, is gimel, or more ancient gam. According to ancienthebrew.org, the word gimel, means to gather as a group of animals gathering at the water hole to drink. The pictograph script for the word gam means to walk to the water. So looking at the definition of the Hebrew G, gimel, gam, and ophir, we arrive at an interpretation for Genesis 6:15 that makes sense. Make thee an ark of the wood of ophir, where the animals will be gathered. Gathered? You mean where Noah would have been building the ark? Is ophir, we prove this is also ancient Havilah in part 10 in this series, where Noah built the ark of the wood of ophir, Nara wood, which we prove in parts 4 and 10 as well. The place where the animals gathered to go into the ark. Yes, God speaks to animals. We note this in part 3 regarding the whale, fish, that swallowed Jonah, in which God spoke to the fish. Now, let's add our Hebrew research from part 7. Remember the Hebrew for Mount Ararat, meaning earth-covered. Is this the actual location where, from Noah's perspective, the earth was covered? The place where Noah built the ark near the mountaintop, which is why it took about a month for the ark to be lifted by the floodwaters from the fountains of the great deep, the windows of heaven pouring, and the rain? And was this the Hebrew narrowwood, the national tree of the Philippines we discussed in part 4, which ties back to the Queen of Sheba and Ophir in its definition? And was this the reason King Solomon found this wood, which was used to build the ark, along with other resources, as so significant that it was worth building an entire navy just to risk a 3-year journey to trade for such, so he could use these specific resources for the temple from ancient Havilah and modern Ophir in his time, even though he had already had many resources that David had already put aside? Is this all just a series of coincidences? You decide, but we believe this is compelling information that cannot be ignored. We have never seen anything from any scholar that makes sense on the meaning of this word, and somehow all of this ties together. How could that be? Again, we do not believe the Bible even remotely supports the ark landing on Mount Ararat in Turkey, but in fact, that it could not possibly have landed on that mountain, as we lay out in great detail from Scripture in Part 10, River from Eden. But instead, it landed on the highest land in the Himalayas in East Asia, which would be a reasonable distance for Noah's Ark to travel from the Philippines even without propellers. Thank you for watching our Solomon's Gold series. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and view our website at thegodculture.com. Always remember to prove all things for yourself.